And so I think it's important that you understand the clinical trial process. I'm not saying that the pill is bad. I just want you to think about how to make health decisions for yourself. You want to be especially vigilant, especially staying on top of it. Once I got the information I needed, I started to move in that direction about how to make health decisions for yourself.
In your mind, what would you say to brothers that's not vaccinated or just people in general?
I'm glad to hear you are protected, and thanks for being so honest here on Keeping It 100, because that's what we do. Hey, welcome to Keeping It 100, where we have these open and honest conversations to make sure you have all the health information you need to make good decisions for yourself and for your family. I'm Dr. Kristin Motley, and as always, we have a really good show in store for you. If you think of questions, just pop them in the chat, give yourself a shout out in the chat. Just let us know what you want to know and what you want us to follow up on so we can make sure we hold it down for you over there in the chat. Now, we have Dr. Tyan Thomas behind the scenes as always. So that's who's going to be answering your questions today. Let's bring in my amazing co-host, the street practitioner himself, Georgie Mink Jr.
Hey, what's going on? Good afternoon, Doc.
Hey, how you living?
Hey, I'm good. How you
Everyone on their best behavior today?
Yeah, they trying to be.
They doing their best.
Yeah, they trying to be. Mr. Bro and Mr. C's on the prowl, so we good.
Nice. We had a good weekend. We did the bingo event for Delcora and Councilwoman Tracy Tucker out there, and Trainer and Marcus Hook, and so it was nice. So a lot of people came out.
Oh yeah, they had a nice turnout. I wasn't surprised though, but it was a nice turnout. Really energy. The crowd was full of energy. A lot of folks was vaccinated. I felt good. I felt safe in that building.
It was a mixed crowd. It was definitely a nice mixed crowd. I hadn't really engaged with that community before, so it was nice to talk to them and kind of get to know them. It was a good event. I think we might have a video. I'm not sure, but you was doing your thing.
I did. You got to give me my props, Doc. Yeah, I was the waiter out there.
You was out there with the Golden Girls, getting your Golden Girl on.
Yeah. It was a nice time though. Good folks. Appreciate everybody that came out, and I'm looking forward to working with them again.
Absolutely. Thanks, Delcora and Councilwoman Tracy Tucker. So as we know, we're still in March. March is Women History Month. This month, all of our guests are women, amazing women, and we're also highlighting amazing women making history in the community. So let's hop on over to our moments in women's history with the street practitioner.
Drum roll, please. Okay. So we're going to start with Danye Latrice Price. I'm waiting for her picture. There she go. Chester's finest. Basically, she's an inspiration in her community, and it appears she was predestined to serve and uplift those around her. Price set her sights on achieving what many seem to think impossible. Impossible is not a word she embraces, so she made it her goal to become a firefighter. In 2015, Price became the first African-American female firefighter in the city of Chester. 8 years later, Price is still dedicated to serving the Chester community and now serves as the first female to be voted into the executive board of the IAFF, and that stands for International Association of Firefighters. Serving as the union secretary as well. She also is the mother of 3, the owner and operator of My Serenities, promoting the benefits of nature through hiking and tea blending, along with creating her own mug line. And lastly, the owner of Naturally Fit, which is a health and fitness inspiration to many. Wow. It was a great honor to appreciate this woman today. And I'm just surprised. I never even knew that she was the first, that Chester had a female firefighter.
That's dope. That is dope to even think of becoming, of being a female and aspiring to become a firefighter is just amazing. It is
Yeah.
absolutely amazing, and she did it, and she was the
Right.
first, so she won't be the last because there are plenty of little girls in Chester that have had time almost 10 years to look up to her. So I know that there are more coming right behind her. I'm really excited for that. I am so proud of her. It is just it's just amazing. So
Yeah.
thanks for honoring her today.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to meeting her in person too. Yeah.
Yep. Um So let's hop over to this health news really quick. I have some good news of some good COVID news, at least for Delaware County. All our numbers have been trending downward. Hospitalizations are going down. ER visits related to COVID is down, as well as the number of people in the ICU for COVID. Everything's trending downward, which is a good thing. And we have the vaccines to thank for that. So everyone is getting vaccinated, who's getting their boosters, staying on top of everything. Kudos, because it is the only exit out of this thing. So thank you, everybody, for showing up. And also, flu cases are down too. So
Mm.
we're not completely out of the woods for all of this yet. COVID isn't going anywhere. We know that, but at least we are coming out of like what is like the peak season.
Nice. Okay.
Feeling good about that. And for people that's not vaccinated yet, it's not too late. You can still get caught up. I actually got a text this morning. Gee, let me put you on the spot. So I got a text this morning that said if a person hasn't gotten their vaccine yet, what do they need to do?
I mean, we'll find out their nearest provider.
Bam, that's the answer. I said go to the pharmacy and get the vaccine. That's it. Like it's nothing special.
Felt like I was on Family Feud, but go ahead.
The street practitioner. Yes, yes. Yeah,
Okay.
so just go get your vaccine. And you'll get another dose in 3 weeks and you will be good to go.
Nice.
Now, one thing I did say, this is keeping it 100. So there is a booster available. So if a person that hasn't gotten vaccinated yet, you need to get your 2 doses 3 weeks apart. This is for adults. And the CDC recommends a booster in 2 months. I would feel comfortable waiting a few months before I get the booster because we know that the 2 doses provides really good protection against hospitalization and against death. And we also know that right after the second vaccine, you have some protection for about 3 months. You have protection against infection too, but that starts to trickle down along the way, but you're still protected against hospitalization and death for a good amount of time, like probably at least 8 or 9 months longer than that. I haven't looked at those studies recently because it's always changing, but you have good protection. I would wait and get a booster if I was going to be in a situation where I was going to be around a lot of people that don't have on masks in a crowded place like an airplane or something like that. So I think the CDC recommends waiting 3 months after the second dose to get a booster. I would be okay with waiting a little longer than that and just kind of timing it around 2 weeks before I plan to travel or had to be around people that don't have on masks in crowded places. Now, if I was high risk, like if I had a lot of health conditions, chronic health diseases, if I was older, 60s and 70s and up, I would probably get the booster at that 3-month mark, because that's when your protection starts to go down. You're still protected against hospitalization and death for a while, but it's I don't know, it's a lot. And I know for a person that's just getting the first dose, it's a reason that they waited. And if that's the case, they're probably not going to hop on a booster right away anyway. So that's just kind of how I would think about it. Dr. Thomas, what do you think?
Can she hear us?
I thought she could. She was in audio earlier,
Okay.
but she might not be able to. It's all good. So that's just my take on that. Now, I do want to mention, I did get a question over the weekend about the boosters. So the woman said, so I was trying to encourage her to get her booster, and she said, my daughter told me not to get it because I have diabetes. And I was like, because you're over the age of 70 and because you have diabetes, you need to get this booster. It's been over a year since your last dose. You need to get a booster today. She didn't do it because of what her daughter said. So what I want to encourage y'all to do is make sure you're getting information from people who know, from healthcare providers. I understand she does not know me from a can of paint, and she's not going to listen to anything that I tell her above what her own child tells her to do. But you have to figure out how to get health information from healthcare providers. Her daughter did not give her the right information based on the fact that she has diabetes. Now, I want to remind everybody, there are a number of conditions that put you at high risk of dying or get really, really sick from COVID. It is diabetes, it is being a smoker, it's being obese or overweight. Well, specifically being obese, heart disease, lung diseases, having asthma, kidney diseases, having an suppressed immune system. And if you have more than one of these things, which a number of people do, I don't remember if I said heart disease, but heart disease is one too. You are at higher risk. So these are the things that study after study after study has showed us this. It's real. Pay attention to these things and make decisions based on real information and science, and try to find trusted healthcare providers to get your information from. So that's how I feel about that. I don't know. You got anything to add?
Not much. I just know we always talk about we running out of time as far as being able to pay for it. So I mean
That's true.
that's a big thing for me. Like, you know, pretty much is we already know it's safe. Even though it don't seem like it, but we're being protected every day. So that's preventing us from being sick, from even feeling the effects of COVID, even if you was to come down with it. So it's definitely a plus to have it. So there's no reason not to get it.
Yes, so we know too, in May, the government is going to stop paying for COVID vaccines, treatment, hospitalization,
Hmm.
testing. So we are encouraging as many people as possible to get it while you can get it, and it won't cost you anything, regardless of your insurance status. Now, one big change with insurance is coming up on April 1st is a lot of people that qualified for Medicaid because of COVID won't qualify anymore. You got to get your recertification in. So I'm doing some research to make sure that I can share accurate information with everyone. But I know that April 1st is a big deadline. So if you're on
Hmm.
Medicaid and you qualify for the last 2 or 3 years because of COVID, those changes are stopping. Make sure you call your Medicaid office or call the welfare office so that you can make sure you and your children or whoever else still has adequate protection and coverage, and you don't have any issues when you go to the doctors or to the pharmacy. One last thing I wanted to mention is that I was reading an article recently that colon cancer risk is increasing in younger people. Now we know we saw a case of this where Chadwick Boseman, aka T'Challa, passed away of colon cancer. He was only 42 years old. So I want to remind everybody that colon cancer is real. You should really be getting your screenings done. I believe the earliest age, if you don't have a family history, is for 45 years old. You should be starting your screenings then, because a lot of times, especially in young people, we ignore symptoms, stomach pains, or changes in our bowel movements. And for a lot of people, we don't seek health care, or we don't go to the doctor until it gets really, really bad. And then it may have spread by then. So be aware, make sure you talk to your doctor about screening and when screening is due and when it's right for you. Only other thing I want to mention about this is that one thing that we know that increases risk of colon cancer is drinking excessive alcohol, as well as eating processed meats like hot dogs and sausages, ham. Like I know that Easter's coming up and everybody gonna have ham on their plate, but just be conscious of how much you are consuming processed meats because they definitely increase your risk of colon cancer. And we have known this for years, years, years. So don't let it be when you go to the ER that you find out you have any health condition. Like, we want to be proactive and staying on top of this stuff. I know we're all busy and it's hard to, carve some time out to do those things, but they're really, really important. But let's, try to do something about all this busyness. Today, our guest is Dr. Chell, and she is going to help us get it together, especially for moms and parents who are just ripping and running. Like, I feel like my mom was busy, but I'm like a whole new different type of busy. I don't know what is happening, what I'm doing wrong, but it just don't feel like my life is as chill as hers was. Hey, Dr. Chell.
Good afternoon.
Gosh, that makes sense. Hello, thank you so much for having me. How y'all doing?
All right.
We are good. So just for anyone that doesn't know, Dr. Chell is a working mom, life and style content creator, social media mogul. She is an internet sensation. And she's a huge proponent for self-care, especially for moms. And she so graciously agreed to come on and share her top tips with us today. So we appreciate you for being here. And I guess I just want to start by asking, what made this topic of self-care important to you? Has it always been your thing?
Yeah, sure. Again, I really want to say I love you guys. I am so grateful for the opportunity to be here and use this platform to speak about this. But yeah, so I grew up in a matriarchy of women. My family is from Sierra Leone. I'm first generation. They came here, and essentially I grew up with like my mom, my aunts, and it was just this like gang of women just like getting it done every single day. And ultimately, though, they grew up in a patriarchy themselves. And so they very much were people who felt as though, sacrifice had to be part of motherhood. And growing up and seeing that, I always told myself that that was not going to be my story. Because I saw how much of themselves they gave up in terms of the things they liked doing, their passions, their interests. And as the daughter of my mother, I am so grateful for everything that she has done for me. But one thing I really wish she had taken on some of her own passions and things that she loved, because you don't ever as a child want to feel like you're the reason that your parent gave things up,
Yeah.
And so for me, knowing that that was not something that I wanted for myself, when I finally did become a mother, I said, prioritizing self-care for me has to be at the top of my list, because I don't ever want my kids to feel that way. And I don't want to ever have it in my mind to look at them at the end of my days and say, like, you're the reason I never got to do the things I wanted to do, or see the places I wanted to see, or be the person I wanted to be. So for me, self-care isn't just about, the spas and like the facials and doing all of that stuff. It's really about putting yourself on that list of priorities of things that you have to do every day, and making sure that you're filling your own cup. And the way that we talk about it a lot is that you can't pour from an empty cup. And so making sure that you have filled yourself enough so that you're able to give to the other people in your life, your family, your work, your friends, etc.
That's beautiful. So it kind of sounds like your mom was actually your inspiration.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to this day, I mean, it's hard. It's a balance, right? Like, I love how much my mom loves us. I love how much she's willing to give to us. But at the same time, I'm like, girl, go do something for yourself. I love you. I want you to take care of you too.
That is awesome. I love that. So tell me, you said that self-care is not just about the spa day. So what does it mean to you? How does it look to you?
Yeah. So for me, self-care often looks like just making sure that as I'm looking at the things that I have to do for the day, whether it's like running errands or work or whatever have you, that somewhere in that list of stuff, that something for me is on that list. Now, obviously, every day is not going to look exactly the same, but it's just making sure that every single day, like, I am included in the important tasks that need to be taken care of, the important things that need to be done. And there's this misconception amongst people who don't necessarily understand with or agree with moms taking self-care. There's this misconception that it's like, no, I'm at the top of the list. It's me first. And what I like to say is, it's not me first, it's just me too. So in addition to all these other things I have to do, like making sure that I don't fall off of that list, because I'm sure a lot of our parents can relate. Moms, dads, like anyone who is a caregiver can really relate to the idea and the reality that a lot of times you're giving and giving and giving. And sometimes, and a lot of the time, you're not able to do anything for you. And so it's really just making sure that on all that stuff, you somewhere in there.
I love that. I love that. So what are the types of things you do? Because I need some ideas, because I stopped making lists and I need to get back to making lists. But what are some things you do so I can try to figure out how to put it on my list?
Listen, I love lists. I'm gonna just tell you that first of all. I love lists. So I actually, for me personally, I like a lot of the like skincare things like that. I also like to go out and enjoy, like winter has been just really, put me in a funk. I definitely am somebody who enjoys like the nice weather and being able to go out, like hiking, things like that. But honestly, when I talk to people about how to identify what their self-care ideas, plans are, I really try to get them to think about, what would you do if you had absolutely nothing to do today? You didn't have no laundry, you ain't had no dirty diapers to take care of, you have your house is clean, you don't have to run any errands, no groceries, everything's cooked, everything is done and taken care of in your house. What kind of things would you like to do? Because self-care is really about like filling your cup and enjoying the things that you're doing. So I like to give inspiration, but I also like people to kind of dig deep and figure out what it is that they enjoy. And sometimes it is just like getting some inspiration and figuring out like, oh, you know what? I've never done that before. I do like that. I'm going to incorporate that more into my self-care. And for a lot of people, it's like, I've been so consumed with motherhood, I have forgotten the things that I like to do. Like, what do I enjoy? And so I always encourage people to like kind of take a look at themselves and like just ask themselves, like, what would you do if you had absolutely nothing going on today?
That's great. That's really good. I had a session with my therapist recently, and we were talking about like, what do you like to do? And I'm like, I don't know, but I do like to just like sit on the couch and do nothing, like turn the TV on and just do nothing. And she actually encouraged me, put that in your schedule, because you put everything else in your schedule, put in your schedule a time to sit on the couch and do nothing. And I was like, you are a genius. And it worked. It worked for like 3 days. But 3 days in the middle of the day, I turned the TV on and I watched a little comedy special, something. And then I ain't been back to it, but I'm gonna go back to it because I'm inspired. I'm inspired by you.
About how you felt after you were able to get those 3 days, right? When you went back into parenting mode, wife mode, like whatever else, you felt more like, okay, I can give you more of me right now because I was able to get what I needed.
Yes. G, did you have a question?
I'm gonna play the devil's advocate. So as far as like the challenging area, like for a wife, husband, like I'm gonna just go with the women since we talk about it was Women's Month or whatever. So
yes, it is.
Women that come home, say she's like she's working. We basically in a 2-parent household nowadays. So everybody's working. She has to come home. Kids, homework. Not sure who's the cook in the house, but say she has to cook and do all these other things. When is it time for self-care? I mean, like the challenge is, so how do we even find time for this when you have to, your whole life is dedicated to everything else?
To everything else. Oh my gosh, you're so right. So that is a beautiful question. I love it because you're absolutely right. Throughout the day, like we are just doing so many things. And by the time we get home, we're absolutely exhausted physically, mentally. So what I always encourage people to do that have, whether you don't have the ability to like, drop your kids off or anything like that, I always encourage people to think about the things that they are already doing throughout the day and try to incorporate self-care into those things. So for example, you're at work all day long. Thinking about perhaps during your lunch break, taking like a nice walk outside, or even using some of that time to like watch one of your shows or like whatever have you, doing something during your breaks during the day. Or if we're talking about during the weekends and you are running errands, like maybe taking an extra 20 minutes to run to Starbucks, maybe to decompress in the car with a McDonald's French fries, or something like that. It's just really about figuring out what you're already doing and trying to infuse self-care into that, because it is really challenging. I mean, like you said, we are just our pie of time is completely full. Like we have dedicated all of our time to all of these different things. So try to figure out what you're doing and see how you can incorporate self-care into that would be my suggestion.
Okay, that's a great idea, though. So it doesn't necessarily mean at home.
It doesn't have to be an
Right.
at home. And I
Right.
think and I love that y'all have already started mentioning, like, using your calendar and things like that, because I am a Google girl is what I call it, but I schedule everything on my Google calendar. And so knowing that you are going to have a break at a certain time in the day, like making sure that you're labeling that time as your self-care time. You schedule everything else, you prioritize everything else, make sure that your self-care is part of that.
Oh, wow.
That is the absolute truth. And I know that one thing that I started doing, and I didn't realize that it was self-care until like recently, is because I know when I walk into the house, everybody just comes running. The kids, the husband, like I can't even pull into the driveway. I pull into the driveway. Bilal gonna be mad I said this. I pull into the driveway and then the door open. I'm like, don't open the door for me. Like, leave me alone. Let me put the key in and come in myself. But they coming outside to the car. So what I started doing is I'll pull around the corner and just sit in the car around the corner. I won't even come to the driveway just to like hop on Instagram or just do something quick for me.
Right.
Before, because I know when I pull up, it's over.
It's over. What, they saw you on the ring cam or something? Like,
Yeah, that's exactly what happens in my house. Yeah.
I don't even have a ring cam. Like, I don't know what they be doing. Like waiting at the window. Like, yo, why is the door opening? It's so triggering to me when that door opens.
Right. Yo. Mm-mm-mm.
But I'm glad my family loves me. I do appreciate that. But I have learned to take some downtime around the corner before I pull up on the street, because that's what I got to do.
Right.
Another thing, I always also like to, extra time in the bathroom, like an extra long shower or whatever. Let me tell you, okay, so I don't, I'm not trying to start a gender war or anything, but I know that men sometimes, they be in the bathroom spending their extra time in there. You know what I mean? So for me, I will do similar. If it's time for me to take a shower, maybe I'm spending an extra 10, 15 minutes in there, like whether it's scrolling on my phone or whatever have you. Like, again, just incorporating it into the things that you're already doing in the day.
Right.
Exactly. Now, G, I know you also had a question about partners, like for moms, how can her partner, I don't know.
Right. Like, just saying, like, how can the partner assist? Like, say you do have a 2-parent home and, like it should be balanced, right? So, say you do have a hectic schedule or whatever, and it incorporates home life and work life. How can your partner assist with, just incorporate, helping you work these days out or work your time, or, what's some pointers for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I always have to start with the caveat that I will always speak from like a mom's perspective, because that's the only perspective I know and I've experienced, as well as like in a kind of dual parent home situation. So I say that to say, if that's not the situation someone's in, then certainly there may be some nuances to that. But for us, I think communication is key. Like people tell you that all the time, but communication is key. I think that partners are absolutely critical to supporting self-care, especially in mothers and women. In 2-parent households where there is a mom and a dad, typically mothers are taking on a lot of the responsibility. And it's not a competition. It's not a competition who's doing more or who's better at it or whatever have you, but there is just a lot of responsibility that ends up on the shoulders of the mom. And so whether your partner has recognized it themselves or you communicate it or articulate it to them, it's important for them to understand that, like, as a mom, you're doing a lot so that they are able to support you. Now, what I think is also really key is making sure that you are clear on like what your needs are too. It's a balancing act, because I think we're all adults. Like my husband, he sees like I'm doing a lot, and so I am not always expecting that I have to tell him, but there are some times where I feel like I have to communicate to him, like, hey, listen, I'm going to need this time because I've got this stuff going on. Because we don't all know what's going on in people's heads, or even just what their threshold and capacity is. I know I can take on a lot and before I'm like, hey, can I get some help? So when I do need help, and I know I'm going to need help, I make sure I make it clear to him. But I also feel like it's important for him to see, like, girl, she's taken on a lot just at baseline. So there are times when I'm going to have to step in. So I think just having a partner is obviously super helpful. Doing parenting alone is one of the most challenging things in the world, and my hat's off to anybody who does that. But when you have a partner, it's really, really important to not even incorporate them into your self-care, but incorporate them into your self-care plan. So listen, I need this time, I need 30 minutes, and be very clear. I need 30 minutes after my shower to just do my thing, and I will get right back to it, and I will be back in it. We'll be doing it together, all of that good stuff. But like, let me have this time. And you know, the amazing partners are like, girl, I get it. Yes, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Because I have been playing video.
I think you're saying, okay. I got you.
I'm sorry, I was lagging.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say, to pick up on the heroes who are out here doing it as a single parent, what kind of strategies can you offer them?
Yeah. So again, I think, I mean, again, and it's really challenging no matter what. Just being a single parent is hard as heck. So again, I think it's really about incorporating it into the things that you are already doing in the day, because by the time you get home, especially if you're a single parent, there isn't really anyone else to lean on or rely on. So using the time that you do have throughout the day or on the weekends, or whatever time you have away from your children, for whatever reason it is, whether it's for work or whatever reason you're able to, be away from your children, incorporating self-care into that. I will also say that one of the things that I recommend is, in terms of managing your time, just looking at your schedule and like looking at the times that you're getting up in the day. I tend to be someone that gets up a little bit earlier while the house is still asleep, so that I'm able to do some of the things that I want to get done without being like bothered or having, a kid with their finger up my nose. Like sometimes it's easier to just do these things when everybody is asleep. And so I think that that's the easiest way that I have found, and that would be something I would recommend to a single parent. But I think that's why we always say it takes a village to raise a child, right? So I know how hard it is being a single parent. My mom was a single parent. I don't know firsthand, but seeing my mother be a single parent, I know how hard it was for her. I always say, if you don't have to do it alone, don't. I think that's the thing. A lot of women, especially Black women, we will take on a lot of responsibility, a lot of societal pressure, and we will try to carry the weight by ourselves. And it's not sustainable. It's not realistic. There is no award at the end of it. There's just no reason for it. So if you don't have to do it alone, don't do it alone. Obviously, there are situations in which you don't have a choice, but if you don't have to, don't.
Love that. Love that. Ask for help. So I noticed that you started pushing the Momfidence agenda. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit. What does that mean? Do I have Momfidence? How do I get Momfidence?
Yes. So literally what Momfidence is just confidence in your motherhood, mom confidence.
Oh, okay.
And what happened was, I realized that as a woman, as a Black professional, we all struggle with imposter syndrome. Like, it's just kind of par for the course as you are moving up in the professional world. And what I have figured out is that as a mother, you also struggle with confidence, whether it be around your parenting, whether it be around your physical, how you look, your new mom body, all of those things. And it's really important to instill confidence and build your confidence and continue to like stroke your confidence, increase your confidence in your motherhood as you are being a parent. And just I think what it is for me is that you need to be able to tell other mothers that what they're doing it's okay. Like how you're doing parenting is fine. It works for you and that's all right. And I just feel like we do a lot of competing with each other. Sometimes there's a lot of like mom shaming and things like that. And so what I like to do is try to really encourage and instill confidence in moms to know that like the way that you're doing it is good for you and your family, and don't look at anybody else. They say like stay in your lane of motherhood, focus on your family. And the way that I say that you get mom confidence is just like really just not looking at anyone else. It's the comparison thing that really steals your happiness and your joy. So that would be what I would define as mom confidence. And the easiest way to get it is stop looking at everyone else and focus on you and your kids.
That is beautiful. It is so true. And I think it is what we need to hear. Is what young people need to hear in terms of like, stop comparing yourself to all these other images. Beautiful. Well, thank you for letting me know that I'm doing everything right, because I be questioning my parenting skills. Thanks for letting me know that I'm good.
We all are.
Thank you. G, did you have any final questions?
I just was going to say, to go back to the single parenting, even if you don't have like a backup person to help you with the kids or whatever, I was going to say planning and the time frame is big. So you always make sure that you do things at the same time every day, and you get your kids accustomed to the times, so you will have time to yourself at the end of the day. Like, because I was a single parent, and they had to be to bed at like 8 o'clock. That way I know at least I have an hour to myself of just free time, even if I didn't want to do nothing time. So as long as you plan your day out and you have a structured evening and a structured lifestyle, even with kids, then it still should be able to help. So yeah, that was it, Doc.
The street practitioner said, put a routine in place and get your life together. Get a routine and get your life together. Thanks for dropping that.
That's the only way you're going to free up some time, you know? Yeah. So
you're right. Thanks for dropping that, Jim.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Dr. Chell, for coming on. How can people follow you on social media?
Absolutely. I am Dr. Bombshell on every single platform that I am on. I am on Instagram. I am on YouTube. I am on TikTok. I am on Pinterest. I am on Amazon, actually. And I love that you mentioned the organizing your time, because I created this like self-care productivity planner. Yes. Because as a mom, I struggle so much with just like getting things done every single day. You have a million things in here, and you're thinking, how am I going to do all of those things? And for me, the key has been to put pen to paper and be able to really like incorporate how I want to do what I want to do, like having a top 3 of things I want to accomplish in the day, and looking at my schedule and just saying, is it feasible? Looking at the 3 things I want to do and what I have going on, can I make that happen? And so anyways, I'm on Amazon. I have my planner on there, so you can absolutely check that out, see if it's useful for you. And yeah, follow me on my platforms. You might find something, learn something new.
Oh, I'm sure they will. Thanks again for coming on. We loved having you here, and these tips were helpful, and I'm gonna use some of them. I absolutely am. I get my life back.
Yeah.
Thank you again for having me.
Of
course.
Thank
you, Doc. Have a good one.
So our next event, we're going to be at Representative Carol Kazim's mental health awareness event, which is in Chester at the STEM school, the old Showalter. We'll be there Saturday, April 15th. It's from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So we'll be doing some COVID education and whatever else we can come up with to educate the community on important health topics. Remember, COVID is still out there. It ain't going nowhere. The best protection against COVID, long COVID, is to get vaccinated. 2 doses, not just one. You got to get your other dose. So make sure you stay protected out there. Thanks for tuning in. That's the flyer for the Mental Health Awareness Day. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next Wednesday at 12:15 right here on cmpradio.net.
Enjoy, Doc.
See ya. I'm glad to hear you are protected, and thanks for being so honest here on Keeping It 100.